Welcome to Leister Store, a Pleasant Valley memory museum located in the former general store owned by Paul and Jane Leister in the heart of Pleasant Valley, Carroll County, Maryland. This museum was established in November of 2007 and is a component fund of the Community Foundation of Carroll County, Maryland. We're delighted that you've taken an interest in us, why we're here, and what we can do for you and the residents of the valley we call home. As we show and tell you a few things about this community, we'd appreciate your help in verifying what you're about to see and hear. If you notice any errors, please help us by mentioning them to any of the volunteer staff in the museum. We do appreciate suggestions on how we can improve the museum or its content. If you see something you recognize that is not identified properly, or you feel could use identification, and you have the missing information, please bring it to our attention. Now let's begin the video tour of some of the Pleasant Valley memories you may have forgotten or just never knew much about. Let's begin with the store itself. This is what it looked like at the beginning of the last century. The owner at that time was Levi Myers, and we think he's the gentleman standing at the front door. Perhaps his sons are to his left and the ladies to his right may be his wife and daughter. Although they seem to be dressed for the picture, the young lady is apparently comfortable in her bare feet. Next, you see some period photos. We don't know who the group is, but they seem to have arrived at Levi's store via the large wagon parked behind them. We know some of the people and homes that follow, but not all. Can you help us with names? How about the school kids? Finally, we wind up with a long line of moms and babies. What do you do with babies when they grow up? Put them on a school bus and send them to school. Yes, there were school buses in Pleasant Valley in the 30s, 40s, and 50s. Although the senior class in the photo is from Charles Carroll, there was a school in Pleasant Valley that ran from first grade through high school. Eventually, it was sold by the county and became a shoe factory, which employed many folks from the valley. If you look closely at this aerial shot, behind the church and up the hill is the school as it looked in the early 1960s. It was at that time the shoe factory. Now notice the delightful little girl with the teddy bear. If you look beyond her and up the church's driveway, you can see the school when it was still the Pleasant Valley School, complete with a school bell on the roof. Now back to the aerial shot. Let's move west and down to the valley floor. There's the Leister Mill as it stood at the time. If you come down Halter Road from Pleasant Valley and stop just beyond the first house, you'll see what's left of a concrete retaining wall. It looks like it was meant to hold the road back, but it is actually the only part still remaining of the Leister Mill that stood just beyond it for well over 130 years. If we put the mill back, using digital technology and old photos, you can see what it looked like in the late 1960s. First, the huge conduit that fed water from Bear Branch to the overshot water wheel inside. The sawmill is just to the left under the roof. By moving around the mill, we see its front and the 3 stories of loading doors, then its south side. If we change our perspective, we can see the water race as it leaves the mill and returns to the Bear Branch Creek. Now let's look at some of what was inside the mill.
It's pleasant in the valley today. It's pleasant in the valley today. Paul and Jane are in the store, Danny's in the mill. The guys will get a haircut and shave. It's pleasant in the valley today. The creek starts to run, the bees begin to hum, the plants are breaking forth with green. The sky is crystal blue, the earth has sprung anew, kids are in the yard playing games. It's springtime in the valley today. It's pleasant in the valley today. It's pleasant in the valley today. Paul and Jane are in the store, Danny's in the mill. The guys will get a haircut and shave. It's pleasant in the valley today. The grass is thick and green as the sun warms your face, and Boggles corn is growing high. Beneath the tree in the shade, we'll sip some lemonade and enjoy a lazy Saturday. It's summer in the valley today. It's pleasant in the valley today. It's pleasant in the valley today. Paul and Jane are in the store, Danny's in the mill. The guys will get a haircut and shave. It's pleasant in the valley today. The wind's blowing through the leaves on the trees. They're turning red, orange, and gold. The sun is growing.
This is how the mill looked a few years after it was built in 1850 by John Hesson. Then later, as a story was written about it, to go with the pictures showing farmers lined up to load or unload their wagons at the popular mill. In 1880, the output included flour, meal, feed, and hominy. Parts of the original mill works were removed when the building was torn down and are now on display at a technical school in York, Pennsylvania. Today in Pleasant Valley, the mill is portrayed for us on a painted tray on display in our museum. From the air, we can see that a cannery stood just north and adjacent to the mill. From this same angle, we can appreciate what harvest time was like in the valley at the cannery. From this angle, we are looking at the cannery with the pack house just behind it. The second view is from Halter Road. Back to the mill, and now back to the reality that it's gone. But there are still some buildings from our past that remain intact. If you look behind the stop sign, that yellow building was the Pleasant Valley Bank. Here's how it looked in 1947. The building to its right was the second of 3 stores in town, the Mercantile. Both structures are now residences. Further to the right is the church, and to its right is the building that housed the 3rd store in town. As you can see, the church looks pretty much the same. It's been, along with the fire department, the center of activity in Pleasant Valley since it was built. Confirmation classes, men's groups, ladies groups, public functions, all here for many, many years. And Sunday services are still at 10:45 every Sunday, and Sunday school is at 9:45. Speaking of Sunday school, the summer Sunday school picnics were times to remember. Do kids today still do things like that? The farm before you is the Zepp farm. It was at the end of town beyond this stop sign. Over the years, they did their share of providing for the folks in the valley. Now that former farmland is home to the protectors of the valley, the Pleasant Valley Volunteer Fire Company. As you can see, they fed valley folks too. Many an oyster or chicken dinner was prepared and sold from the original building across from the museum. The 2nd floor was also home to record hops for the young people, and the building was originally built as the Patriotic Order Sons of America Hall. And what did the young people in Pleasant Valley do for fun? They went to the record hops over the fire hall. See if you recognize any of these people today. All kinds of businesses flourished in Pleasant Valley. Here Tim Coyle is with some of the racing pigeons that were bred and sold from his house along with honey. There was a blacksmith shop, a buggy shop, and someone made violins for a while. There were 2 auto garages along the main street. Off in the distance at the east end of town is the East End Garage. Only trees inhabit that location now. The Pleasant Valley Garage still stands but is no longer in business. Esso was sold here, and Amico at the Leister Store. There were 2 barbers in town along with a beauty shop. The tiny shop of one of the barbers still stands across the street from the church. The other barber was Guy Leister, and although his shop is gone, the memory of a shave by him still lives on, as the following shows.
It's pleasant in the valley today. It's pleasant in the valley today. Paul and Jane are in the store, Danny's in the mill. The guys will get a haircut and shave. It's pleasant in the valley today. The creek starts to run, the bees begin to hum, the plants are breaking forth with green. The sky is crystal blue, the earth has sprung anew, kids are in the yard playing games. It's springtime in the valley today. It's pleasant in the valley today.
Scouts were a big deal in Pleasant Valley. There was an explorer post, and one of those explorers grew up to see his son pinned as an eagle in the Pleasant Valley troop. Many, many experiences were held and enjoyed by all the scouts, as is evidenced by the shots in this series. Then there was music in the valley. In 1902, we even had our own band. Check out the fellow with the trombone with 3 valves. Music has changed for many reasons. Then there were also parades. Many groups marched through the streets of Pleasant Valley. The one parade that still goes on every year in Pleasant Valley is the Memorial Day Parade, a time when the valley honors her veterans. Check out how many people were here in the late 40s and also in 2008. The dress styles may change, but Pleasant Valley will never forget those who served our country, especially those who did not return. Thanks so much for visiting with us. We plan on updating our museum collection and other videos like this one on a regular basis. And we hope to see you again soon in our Pleasant Valley.